Hey, you know what sucks is that the banks control our money, which means that the people we're actually producing a show to expose and fight against control the way we get our money, right? So they control credit cards. So the way you give people money is through credit cards. That's all controlled by banks. So that's why when I used to go to medical marijuana stores when they first opened up in Los Angeles, they couldn't take credit cards. Why? Because the banks wouldn't process their transactions. Nope, sorry. I don't like your business. That's what the bank said. I don't like that. Like the banks have they have some kind of moral center. The banks are the moral superior to no one, including Hitler, Pol Pot, and Idi Amin. How about that? So the banks have a stranglehold on us, and they also control our government, right? So they have a stranglehold on our legislators that legislate in their favor against us, right? Which is why you can never get rid of your credit card debt now, and you can never get rid of student loan debt now, and you can never, all that stuff. And they can charge you anything they want as far as a 35% cap on interest. Hey, thanks for putting a cap on it. 35%? So get this. I saw this is from Bloomberg News. It says U.S. banks are terrified of Chinese payment apps. Yeah, there's this guy who runs. Now I'm blanking on his name. His last name is Ma. It might be Joe Ma, something like that. It's not. Jack. I think it's Jack Ma.
Wow, yes.
Thank you. Jack Ma, who runs Alibaba, which is the Amazon of Asia. And so now they're coming out with the way to go around the banks. Are you ready for this? Watch this. Here's a video from Bloomberg.
In China, people use mobile services owned by Alibaba and Tencent to do almost everything. They chat, shop, send money to each other, and even make purchases in physical stores. And the country is becoming cashless. So here's the scary thing for American finance executives. The banks never get a cut. In fact, many Chinese don't even have bank accounts. China is among the growing number of countries showing that payments can happen cheaply and easily without banks or credit cards. In contrast, U.S. consumers still rely on banks for most of their purchases. Even mobile payments made through apps like Apple Pay, Uber, or Venmo are tied to users' cards or bank accounts.
Right.
That all adds up to a feast of fees for many of the companies that handle and process payments. For a typical $100 credit card purchase in the U.S., $97.25 goes to the merchant, and the rest is split between issuing banks, payment processors, the merchant's bank, and card networks. Those small slices add up to billions of dollars for banks every year. If apps were to grab market share in the U.S. at roughly the same rate as they have in China, banks would lose a projected $43 billion in revenue from one of their most profitable businesses. And that's not the end of it. Banks also generate revenue by dispensing cash and administering checking accounts. If payment apps were to replace paper money and offer alternatives to regular bank accounts, as they increasingly have in China, other sources of income could take a hit. Checking accounts alone generate $3 billion in bank fees in the U.S. Whether you have access to a bank or not, being able to make or receive payments through your phone is an obvious advantage, as Alipay and WeChat have demonstrated in China. And that's the challenge facing traditional banks as the evolution of mobile payment systems gains momentum. In China...
So what do you think of that, Steph?
Okay, so immediately what I think is, oh my God, when is that going to happen here? Because didn't it make you think about how Wells Fargo opened all those phony accounts and how much money they made, and that everybody who got fired, the 5,000 schlubs who were doing that, they got fired, which is
not their
unfortunate.
managers who told them to do it.
I think Sloan was the CEO at the time.
So what appears to have happened is that Alibaba just became their own bank. So now a guy like Jeff Bezos is worth $200 billion. He can open up several banks, right? A big bank is considered a $50 billion bank.
Really?
Yeah. So he's got enough money to open up at least 4 huge banks himself with his own money, not even his company's money or investors' money or nothing. So, I like that idea. I like this idea. The problem is, I think that, so now Now, if Amazon does it, now Jeff Bezos will control our money. Then he'll be able to cut me off. That's my fear. Now, I don't know if that's, I don't know. Again, I'm not a, what do you call a banking surgeon, but this from the information that I'm able to get, I don't, yeah, I've thought about, there's people doing, that's what Bitcoin's all about. People trying to go around the banks and people trying to go around the people who control our economy and our lives. Are we going? Is it 6 of one, half a dozen of another? Have you heard that saying before? It means that. So now Amazon will, now the Alibaba and that other company we're going to bypass banks. You don't even need a checking account. Just my money's right here, and it's like, well, is that a distinction without a difference now? Because we know the banks are evil, but I also know Amazon is evil. I don't know about Alibaba, but I know corporations are amoral, meaning that their only goal is to increase profits, and it doesn't matter what they do to get there.
I immediately go to the direction of, what if for some reason everything goes down? Like, I can't access my technology. I can't, so how am I supposed to be able to purchase things if something goes wrong with technology?
Well, you can't anyway right now. I mean, if something goes down, your credit cards don't work.
Right?
Yeah. I don't even, I have physical checks somewhere, but they would still need to be electronically processed at the bank. Yeah, so we're certainly dependent on, and all it's going to take, I think, is a madman to go, hey, I have all your satellites targeted, and I could shut down all your banking. That certainly sounds plausible for a science fiction movie. The new Dr. Evil. Okay, there you go. So doesn't this mean it's just inevitable? Look, I didn't know, like, Chinese, a lot of people don't even have bank accounts in China. Like, I didn't know that. So I think it would be good, because then we'd have an option. At least there's another option. So if someone like Amazon and another company does that in the United States, I think that would be good, because it would provide another option. Right now, just like for creators like myself, PayPal and Patreon can shut us down if they feel like we're not being good citizens, if they feel like we said something offensive, not even on our own thing, we have somewhere else. So it's weird that the government doesn't control us, but we have billionaires control us who also control the government. Do you see how again, these distinctions without differences? When Jeff Bezos controls the government, with Jeff Bezos and a handful of other billionaires control the government, which they do, then what's there's no difference between them controlling me or the government controlling me. They're both doing it, and they're both the same. Okay, there you go. I look forward to Amazon doing my banking.
Oh.
Hey, we just added St. Louis and Honolulu to our live tour schedule. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our live shows. We might be coming to your town. Go check right now at jimmydorecomedy.com. And if you like the show and want to support it, become a premium member. You can become a patron or through PayPal, or go right to jimmydorecomedy.com and become a premium member. That's the best way. We'll see you at a live show.